Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Bloom, Group Publisher of Roofing Contractor, and welcome to our Best of Success podcast show. It's such an honor to have with me today Dan Schmidt, who is the Sales Director for TuffWrap. Dan, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is exciting.
It is great. Well, you guys have a very cool product that helps contractors so much, especially when it comes to when they have to do repairs or tear-offs, whatever.
Right.
But, you guys have been around for 25 years, but before we even get started, tell everybody, who is TuffWrap and what do you guys do?
TuffWrap was created 25 years ago to fill a need for roofers who need to do a repair or, as you said, a tear-off. In commercial facilities where operations inside the facility are critical. They need to continue 24/7. So prior to TuffWrap creating this solution and essentially creating the industry 25 years ago, roofers would have to work in off hours, on weekends, shutdowns, holidays, whatever, and a roofing project would be spread out over months. Then TuffWrap came in and decided to create this solution called Smart Seam, which is our brand name for our suspended cover solution. Which then can be installed in a few days in those off hours. And once that suspended cover is installed, the roofer can now do his work anytime he wants, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, shortening that project from potentially multiple months to a couple of months or less.
Right, especially if they weren't able to work during the day,
right.
If people were inside.
Right.
So it sounds like there's some things when it comes to code compliance. Mm-hmm. What does everybody need to know?
So there's a couple of ways you can install a suspended cover solution. One is to go above the fire sprinklers, which would avoid any safety issues, right? Okay.
Right.
The problem with that is, you can imagine, right? You look up at the roof, there's trusses, there's conduit, there's pipes, there's all kinds of stuff, right?
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to seal that effectively, which of course then compromises the protection.
Sure.
And then when it comes time to take it down, forget about it. You've got multiple pieces with cuts all over the place, and when you take it down, if you didn't contaminate it during the project, you're going to contaminate it when you take it down, right?
No doubt, right?
Yeah,
Who didn't even think about that?
So our founder, with his innovation, decided to design a system that would go below the sprinkler. Sounds counterintuitive, right?
Right.
Well, he designed a system that would be that would allow the sprinklers to function normally if there were an incident in the facility.
Okay.
Our product is called Smart Seam. Smart Seam, right?
Yeah,
and the
love
reason
it.
it's called that is because he designed a system that's cut up into 5-foot by 6-foot panels.
Okay.
Those panels are sewn together with a heat-sensitive thread.
Okay.
So if there's a fire in a particular area, that thread melts below
Got
the
it.
temperature where the sprinklers go off.
Okay.
So before the sprinklers go off.
Right.
So that melts, and these 5-foot by 6-foot panels open up like a trapdoor.
Oh,
and
no
allow
way.
the sprinkler to put the fire out.
See, you answered my question. I was going to ask you, what happens if there's a fire?
There you go. Right? That's everybody's question. What do you mean below the sprinklers? That doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
So our founder made it make sense.
Brilliant. Okay. So the seams open up like a trapdoor, so
Right.
the sprinklers can go off.
Right.
And
so
of course, it's not going to do that unless there's a fire. And at that
Correct.
point, you don't care if it gets contaminated. You just want to put the fire out.
So that's the kind of the core of the code compliance issue, right?
Okay.
Where we're able to go below the sprinklers and maintain a continuous installation of
Right.
film that catches all the debris, right? And it can open up during a fire. The other parts, plural, of the code are that it needs to be able to hold the load that's going to be falling from the ceiling.
Sure.
So there are requirements in the International Building Code that you have to pass to prove that your system can hold what it's designed to hold.
Yeah.
It has to then be effective for over the course of the project, right? So
Right.
the code only covers these types of installations for 6 months.
Got
Anything
it.
beyond 6 months is not a temporary protection barrier.
Is that just because there's too much falling on it? There may be too much load?
I think if it was beyond 6 months, now you're talking about a permanent thing, which has a whole different set of codes associated with it. So
Got
this
it.
is a temporary ceiling barrier.
Got it.
So for 6 months, it needs to hold the load that it's designed to hold.
Okay.
And then there's also egress requirements in the code.
Of
So you
course.
can imagine if this thing wasn't put together in 5-foot by 6-foot panels that sort of open like a door.
Right.
It would, you can imagine one continuous sheet of plastic.
Yeah.
During a fire, it might fall, which then
Right.
hinders egress from the facility. So that's another part of the code.
Sure.
So
See, you guys have thought of it all.
we thought of it, right? Yeah.
So if you're just taking it down after a normal installation,
Mm-hmm.
how do you take it down?
That's the secret sauce.
That's the secret sauce?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Can't tell anybody?
Yeah. Well, it's been 25 years of
Right.
perfecting that process.
Okay.
So yeah, as you point out, there's some expertise in taking that down, so you don't contaminate the space you just protected.
Yeah.
So our installers have been doing it for 25 years. They know how to do it. I mean, it's not some rocket science.
No, but
very
I'm sure there's a
difficult
little
thing,
bit of a
but there's
process to
lot
make
of
sure.
experience
It's like
that goes
folding
into
a fitted sheet on your bed.
Our installers refer to it as a burrito. They roll up the burrito.
Okay, the burrito. Got it. Got it. So contractors would hire you then to come in and put it up and take it down?
Right. Yeah.
So they don't have to figure out how to put it
Right.
to
So
do
our
that.
installers are trained
Okay.
in our training facility at our headquarters. They're
Awesome.
certified, OSHA certified. So
Okay.
they come in, and their installation is also part of the code compliance process, right? Because
Right.
it's not just the product. It's making sure it's installed to withstand the load for 6 months, right? So
Okay. Well, so you said this is the first year you're exhibiting at IRE?
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you think?
I love it. It's way better than I thought. We've had our little, internal discussions about whether we should exhibit or not. And in the past, we've always leaned on the side of not exhibiting.
Okay.
This year, we took the leap, and I am so grateful we did. We will be back. We will be back next year for sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so now have you just attended in the past?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what's your biggest takeaway from exhibiting this year? If there's anybody else that's thinking about exhibiting that's out there that hasn't, why should they take the leap?
We do other things besides the ceiling barrier, by the way. But over half of our business is the ceiling barrier. So
Okay.
we sell to a lot of roofers. So I sort of just, my impression prior to this year was it's really roofers to come and learn about the caulk and the tools and the trucks, not really about what we do. I didn't think that what we did would really interest the roofers to engage in a conversation. But they see our booth, and most of them, of course, know who we are.
Got
So
it.
they want to come by and engage in a conversation. And those that don't know who we are, boy, that's a really great conversation. And I've run into, I don't know, probably half a dozen roofers just yesterday who are about to make that leap into commercial roofing. And that's where we are, right? So they
Okay.
want to talk to us and learn about it and learn how they can be competitive. So it's been a great show.
That's awesome. So they proved you wrong.
Yes.
Like you
they
should
did.
have been here all along, right?
We should have been, yes.
Well, that's great. Well, we're glad you're here exhibiting for sure.
Thank you.
So Dan, tell me, if anybody has any questions on TuffWrap, where do they go? How do they find out more?
TuffWrap.com is the place to go. We have a resources page on the website, gives you all the information you need to know about our solutions. We have a YouTube channel, which has some great informative videos about what it looks like. You really can't imagine what it looks like until you see it.
Okay.
It's a very professional. People like to see our solution in place. It gives them the comfort that there's protection in place, and it just looks great. So
awesome. Sounds great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions for us, it's roofingcontractor.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for all our free content. First and foremost, make sure you sign up for all of our e-newsletters. Follow us on all our social media channels so you can stay up to date on all the great content we're putting together, especially the interviews that we are today with Dan from TuffWrap. But most importantly, stay safe and healthy, and we can't wait to talk to you soon. Thanks again, Dan.
thank you.